สวัสดีค่ะ and welcome back to Voice of the Nation นะคะ so for our guest today I would like to welcome คุณ Prinn Panitchpakdi Deputy Leader and Head of Economic Team from Democrat Party who come and talk with us about the technology and the new economy and I would like to know what is the new economy คะคุณ Prinn
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Good morning ครับ Thank you for having me on your show this morning. And new economy is something that actually some people may say is not so new, but it is new in the sense that it is an economy that is growing using technology, innovation, creativeness in order to drive the growth. Some people can call it the value-add economy, and sometimes this growth in a new economy, I wish, can be more even. I hope that we can use new technology, the creativeness to bring about a more equitable society, ones that would provide equal opportunities, especially the access to education, access to jobs, access to clean air, access to the quality of wealth and quality growth that sometimes the old economy is lacking, because in the old economy, people often cares about just making profit, all of the numbers and the bottom line, the GDP numbers, and they're ignoring the quality of growth that is so important in the world we are living in today.
ครับคุณนีน่าครับ
Can you hear me clearly?
Sorry ค่ะ technical problems. Yeah, it was frozen. Yes ค่ะ but where can the new economy lead to? I've heard that it can lead to so many umbrellas like the aging society or the renewable energy. Could you please talk to me about that?
Yes, there is a few strands under the big umbrella of the new economy. So on the one hand, you can get the digital economy, which is often much talked about. And in the digital economy, you can get e-commerce, which people start to use in plenty in terms of using the platform like this, like Facebook, Line, and whether it's sometime on Shopee, Lazada, JD.com. All those platforms can be used to improve the quality of your marketing revenues and ability of you to sell direct. In the future, you could get V-commerce, where you see metaverse has become the world where there is a second world, almost a second globe, where people can feel and touch and see the property, see the item, see the stuff they want to buy and sell online in a more kind of second world, real world you can touch. In the digital world, you can also get other technology like artificial intelligence, AI, you can get the blockchain, you can get quantum computing. And all of these technologies, will not be able to enable and use fully and be most productive without the e-government. This is the digital government. Thailand has digital government agency, but sometimes it may still lack the teeth and the bite and the power to execute and implement some of the very important stuff, like we want to say have paperless government, stop using the papers. But somehow I think a lot of the government agencies are still using papers. We want to see a more transparent government procurement, and we should use blockchain for that. But somehow we're not seeing a transparent government procurement procedure yet. Or even using new technology in blockchain to bring about a more fair and free access to capital, like startups and SMEs. They cannot access to good and cheap capital. Banks are not lending. Stock Exchange of Thailand is maybe has to be big enough a company to access the capital there. So they look for initial coin offering, ICO, or security token offering, STO, on the blockchain platform to raise capital. But of course, when they raise capital on this new platform with cryptocurrencies, the tax comes, and tax can be 27%, 7% for VAT, 20% for corporate income tax. And even people who invest on cryptocurrency, who are newbies or younger generation, smaller guys, they're getting taxed. So this is something which can be unfair. Hence, that's why my motto of crypto no tax is one of the key policy for the Democrat Party as well as for our new economics team. The second branch, you get the aging society, the silver economy, where we think that aging society is not a problem, but actually on the other turn, it's actually a great opportunity where the people who are above 60 years old, they still have the skills, they have the experience, they have the know-who, and how to implement solutions, and have seen the world before us. So they're still very important for me. I may be from a new generation, being in the 40s, 40-year-olds. But I still see wealth of experience within the older generation that's hugely useful to the new economy in Thailand, and also the spending power and capability of those aging population. They can spend. They've got a lot of cash, and these people sometimes from abroad, from Japan, from Europe, from America, from Latin America, they can retire here. We want to make Thailand a nice destination for them to retire, to live, and to work in this aging society. Thirdly, there is a circular economy, which is very important because Thailand has so many varieties of plantations, the seeds, the way we rich in wealth in the agricultural field. We have to utilize that and work that to the maximum of our capability. We could have biofuels where we complain about sometimes the volatility in crop price. I think biofuels can provide a good renewable sources for cleaner air, and yet also a good use of our agriculture products in palm oil, rubber, and so on and so forth. We also think about green economy where inside the circular economy, you want a cleaner air and also a cleaner and healthier food. So organic side of things, when agriculture comes, we think of increasing the yield per crop and leveraging of this in terms of the carbon emission, because in the future, when you export your agriculture products to other countries, they will look at the standards. They will not just look at whether it tastes good or bad, but if you are a bad carbon emission to the world, they will ban you. They will not let you export. Besides the circular economy, lastly, very important, the creative economy. This is one where we showcase the strengths of Thailand, which is 0.4 and not 4.0. By 0.4, I mean we have the arts, the tradition, the creativeness of the Thai people in the soap opera, in the tourism industry, in the food, gastronomic, culinary. All these are the strengths of Thailand from the historic days. And it is how we sell this on the 4.0 platform, on the online platform, or
Is
how
that
we bundle and
NFT?
package marketing.
Is that NFT?
Yes, it can also be NFT, correct, the non-fungible token, which is a digital arts where, correct, we can use the blockchain and the coding technology to sell the arts better in the last 2 years where, there is COVID. Many artists cannot sell their piece of art in a traditional sense, but once they turn it into an NFT and sell it on a platform like OpenSea or NFT Ones or various other NFT platform, they can sell and have a good raising the income.
I'd like to ask you the perspective of the future of Thailand with the speed of technology, but we still have old style political system that's still repeating over and over the same old way. But because the speed of the technology is so fast, it finally will help our economy to go forward without waiting for the political development.
Well, yes, and sometimes they both help push each other along because, as I mentioned earlier, my point on e-government or digital government, if this can be implemented, executed, we could improve the quality of politics in Thailand for sure. Because one of the key sometimes that people complain about Thai politics is that it's pork and barrels politics, which means that you just want to win election to go in there and return the favors to the powers that be or someone who helped you get elected or your big fundraiser or someone who back you. Now, if the government procurement is more transparent and you use the blockchain, the technology that is already out there and has been used for the last 10 and 15 years, Singapore as a country has used blockchain in their government procurement, and this has cut costs. It means that you have more money left in the budget to use for other welfare for the society. It also means that it's more transparent. It's people can check, people can look at who win the bids. People can look at who are the shareholders behind those companies that win the bids. And this is very transparent for people to have engagement in politics. So it's improved the engagement of population at large in a Thai politics, which is what true democracy should be. It's not about election. It's about people's engagement and being involved and being alert and being an active citizen. So I think new technology in the new economy can bring about a more equitable society through active citizen and people's engagement in politics.
Right. Let's go back a little bit. Sorry, Kunina. When you mentioned about your party and also your stand on the tax on the cryptocurrency and stuff, can you elaborate more on that and about the tax for like we buy Facebook ads and the social media that we cannot collect tax from them?
Yes, as you and Kunina may be aware, I've been fighting on this actually since I've been the governor on the Stock Exchange of Thailand's board. And I was the CEO of CLSA, one of the leading investment bank and stock brokerage on the SCT. So when the law come out, I always say that it's not always good to have the new law on cryptocurrency or digital assets so soon, 3 or 4 years ago, because I fear this fact. I fear that legislation will be an obstacle for growth. And then you see tax that come with it, even though tax is not a part of the law exactly, but tax is with the Revenue Department, Ministry of Finance, which they have the responsibility to collect tax. I'm fine with paying tax, but I want the government to look at this from a big macroeconomic perspective, from a eye view. You want to create a digital asset hub, of which we can. We have already 2 unicorns in this field, in the fintech, Band Protocol and BitCup. And we can have many more. You know, there are Stangpro, there are Omise, there is BitTasa, there is Cimex. There's various other big fintech companies that can become good unicorn and pay more taxes down the road. So if the government provide tax exemptions in the earlier stage to support the growing of the digital asset economy, which is a crucial part of the new economy, the government can then collect the taxes much more 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road from the corporate tax, from income tax, from VAT, various other taxes. This is the way that Singapore did. And that's why they're the leading new economy powerhouse in Southeast Asia and in Asia. So we have to learn from some good samples abroad. We collect tax now, people go abroad. People go and trade on Binance, on Gate.io. The entrepreneurs who are raising capital, they won't raise in Thailand. They go and raise abroad for a foreign platform. Why do we want to encourage that? We want people to use the Thai platform. So for me, my key policy on crypto no tax is to bring about a more equitable society, to bring about a society that starts up SME, can raise capital and compete with the bigger guys. Also, the issue on VAT. At the moment, they think that crypto is a product, is a service. It's not, so you have to pay VAT, 7%, which again is unfair because who sell crypto more than 1.8 million baht, you have to pay VAT on top of other stuff that you are paying already. And lastly, when you raise capital as an investment token, you see that as a revenue and again get taxed, which is not exempted, unlike the stock exchange of Thailand, which has been exempted from tax for the last 30 odd years. So I need to see a more free and fairer legislation here from the Ministry of Finance.
And according to you, since you mentioned about so many opportunities and you mentioned about Singapore as well, do you think that how long does it take for Thailand to reach the Singapore level?
Well, I say Singapore as, you know, they have some good example for us to beat and to follow and to look up to, but you know, I think Thailand can be better than Singapore actually in the whole holistic sense, because many people say the quality of life is good in Thailand and people want to come and live here and work here. That's why I mentioned the 0.4 as our strength. You know, Thai people are nice. We have empathy, we have compassion. You know, we enjoy life, we smile. You know, we see things in a positive light. Sometimes too much, but we laugh, we enjoy things, and you know. So I think we can use this and how we can adapt this to improve. The rule of law needs to be improved though, because having so many legislation, it doesn't mean that justice can be brought. You know, the more legislation there are, the more laws there are, often it brings more corruption and more inequality. So we have to see how we can cut and do regulatory guillotine to allow the creative economy, to allow the new economy to prosper first. We have to allow better competition, because at the moment, the smaller guys cannot compete with the big guys. The big monopolies, the big corporates gets ahead. You see during COVID, the big companies are fine. They're paying good dividend, they're growing. But the SME, the startups, and the smaller people in the grassroots economy are suffering. So how do we create a fairer competition background? This is where the GOKK, which is the competitive competition agency committee, you know, which is now a kind of a fair kind of a independent organization. They have to execute more and have more teeth and more bites that they can bring about a more free and fair competition. And lastly, the mindsets of the leaders. We have to look at the qualitative KPI rather than just quantity of growth. So the quality of growth come with about the measurements of the quality of environment, for example, the PM 2.5, the equality of growth, the education side of things, the PISA index we are lacking. So we look at all these measures of how we can set about the KPIs rather than just focus on GDP, or sometimes profitability, bottom line.
Okay. Well, since we're running out of time today and we have only 15 minutes, really short, I would love to have you back to talk more about these opportunities, because we were we were discussing about this before, and there is much more complicated and much more opportunities to explore in this new economy. But thank you very much for being here, and I would love to have you back on our programs on this again, and I would love to discuss more with you for like half an hour. But for today ขอบคุณมากค่ะ
ขอบคุณครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
ขอบคุณครับ
My pleasure. Thank you so much. ครับสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ